Perez. Wilco makes a run ahead of him. Bergkamp suddenly changed pace through the centre. It's Bergkamp! That's magnificent! The move, and then this, which left Dabby's ass totally stranded.
Hello and welcome to Bergkamp Wonderland. This is episode, I think, 22 of the prediction series. And with me this afternoon, what time is it? 7 o'clock. This evening is Richard from the Over and Over and Over Again podcast. How you doing, Rich?
Yeah, very well. Very well. Good to see you. Hope you're well.
Yeah, I'm good. You got yourself a different background there. Did you make that? Oh, no, that's the one from the Arsenal, isn't it?
It's one from the ground, exactly, yeah.
Did you take the photo and steal it?
I did steal it, yes. I've added my own little touch to it, but yeah, I did steal the photo, yeah.
What have you changed? You added your own podcast one to it?
Yeah.
Good, because ABW's only been going 10 years, longer than most of the things on there. Didn't even get an email off them.
No, shocking, isn't it?
It is,
shocking.
And it's because they hate me, probably. I don't know. So, how's your day been going? You been doing anything interesting?
Not really, no. I mean, I've been off work this week, so I've just been chilling about really, and taking it easy and getting ready for going back to work. But yeah, looking forward to Sunday, of course, as well.
How do you think we're going to get on with that? Are you a bit trepidatious now that Jesus is yet again out injured?
Yes, I mean, it's not ideal, but Man City have never really looked as though they've taken the Community Shield particularly seriously. So I think we've got a decent chance of winning it. Not that it really matters either way. It'd be nice to win, obviously. Of course it would. It's nice to win at Wembley, but it's not going to influence how the season's going to finish, I don't think, whoever wins it. But, if we can beat City, it's going to be good, let's be honest, because we don't often beat them, do we? So it'd be nice if we could. And we've got a good record at Wembley against them, so why not?
We certainly do. Tell the boys and girls about your podcast and some of the other stuff you get up to, because if there's you and Ryan are the only ones that really doing regular videos on women's football as well as other stuff, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I started covering the women's. Well, when I started the channel, really, I started covering the women's team just because I enjoy it first and foremost, but also because they don't really get enough coverage. I don't think not many channels, like you said, really cover the women. So I wanted to give them coverage as well. So we do watch-alongs of the games. I mean, I go to a lot of the games as well. So I do sort of vlogs from the stadiums and stuff like that. And we do a show every week on the women's team. We're doing bits and pieces on the World Cup that's going on at the moment. There's a few Arsenal women playing in that, and obviously the Lionesses as well. So we're covering that, and all the usual kind of Arsenal stuff. We've had a bit of a break from that over the summer, but we obviously be back on Sunday with a watch-along for the Community Shield, and then we'll crack on and get going again when the season starts.
So who's going to win the World Cup? Because Germany out now.
Yeah, they got knocked out last night. I mean, to be honest with you, I was a little bit sceptical of England's chances just because we hadn't gone into it in great form. We seem to be struggling for goals. But looking how the World Cup's gone, a few of the big nations are already out. The draw's now kind of almost going in our favour a little bit. We've picked up a bit of form. There's no reason why we can't go all the way. But let's see. I mean, we won the Euros. If we can win Euro and back-to-back World Cups, that would be something special, wouldn't it?
That would indeed. That would be lovely. Is there many? I think we've got 2 Arsenal ladies in the England team, is it?
Yeah, 2 in the squad. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Alessia Russo plays every game. Lotta Ruben-Moy generally sits on the bench and doesn't get on, but she's in the squad, so it's a good experience for her. And we've got a few others dotted around in the competition elsewhere, which is nice. So hopefully, whoever wins it, hopefully there's an Arsenal women's player involved in that team, and Arsenal can win the World Cup for the women as well. Be nice. Did
Holland get there? And if they did, was Maidema part of their squad? Because I know she's been injured, hasn't she?
Yeah, Holland are through. They won their group, so they've got through. They were in the group of America, and they topped the group of America in it. So they're doing well, actually. I think they've got a good chance of going quite a long way. But yeah, I mean, they've got a couple of them. Obviously, Viv Miedema's out of the World Cup, which is injured, so that's a shame. Would have been nice to have seen her playing in the World Cup. But yeah, it's they're looking good, actually, Holland. I quite fancy them to do well.
She's one of the many at Arsenal that have got, is it ACLs they've all got?
Yeah, four 4 in one season, incredible, really. But and I mean, they're looking into it now, aren't they? Looking at more ways that they can maybe prevent this happening more often in the future. I don't know, it's the problem.
Is it their boots that is doing it?
Well, they think there's a few things. I think obviously the fact that women's bodies are built differently to men's, and the boots may be part of it. It's difficult to. I don't think they really know exactly what the cause is. I think they're looking into various different things and trying to come out with ways to make it safer for them, because there's been so many. Not just obviously Arsenal have suffered in the last year, but throughout Europe, there's been. I think I read somewhere there 17 players missed the World Cup because of ACL injuries. I mean, it's incredible, really.
I mean, although Arsenal have been magnificent for years, but the women fitness level is this elite level of fitness, and maybe they're pushing their bodies too hard. Maybe they do. I've got no idea. Maybe they need to not push them so hard, but they want to reach the absolute apex of their own fitnesses, which is good for them, and it improves the sport, but at the cost of them being constantly injured. So something they've got to try and find the balance between fitness and not breaking yourself, because we saw Jack Wilshere and Ramsey and all these ones when they got so fit, they're just so fragile. So we've had problems with that with the men's team.
It is, and maybe still football is still predominantly more a male sport, isn't it? So I think everything when it comes to the preparation, the fitness. I think a lot of the fitness coaches, they've probably worked with men's teams before, and maybe they need to adjust how women players are, what they do in their fitness, because maybe they are pushing themselves too much. Maybe it's something they do need to look at. But I'm sure eventually it will settle down. They'll come up with ways to help. But at the moment, it has been a problem for a few years now. It is becoming an issue that they need to look at, because there's no point having big competitions when all the best players are not playing because they're injured. It just makes it almost devalue the competition, doesn't it? It'd be the same in the men's game. If half the players are injured, people won't want to be as interested in watching the games because it's not as good a spectacle, is it? So it's something they need to look at on all levels, really. Let's hope they do, because it's a bit of an issue at the minute and it's not great.
I will start watching some of their games now. They're outside of the group stages. I watched most of the Euros. Was the last World Cup in Canada?
The last World Cup was in Europe, wasn't it? France.
Was it? How about the one before that? Was that Canada? I remember watching something to do with Canada.
Yeah, Canada's had one. Yeah, that might have been the one. Oh, what was that? No, it wasn't the Olympics, was it? The Olympics might have been in Canada a couple of years ago.
I remember seeing something like that a few years ago. But yeah, I'll be watching the group now. They're out in the group, and they're in the knockout stage. I should watch them, because much like the men's football group stages is much like monkey tennis. You've got no idea what's going to happen, and there's just going to be an absolute mess. But the Germans are out, which always makes me smile. Right, let's get on and let's have a look at this prediction table, and then you can give people your wise words and explain yourself of what's happening and why. Right, so Richard, and it's at Over and Arsenal, because, as I keep saying, Elon Musk, sort your life out. Give us more letters for our usernames on Twitter, not X, because that's not enough letters, is there? And it gets very bloody annoying.
There's not, no. You have to make it the best of it as you can, and that's what we've done.
Yeah, especially when on like that new one, the new Threads one, which I wouldn't go touch with a barge pole, and YouTube and Instagram, all these ones you can have much longer names. So yeah, we're sorting out the wrong problems. What have you gone for the Premier League champions?
It's probably quite predictable and quite boring, but I can't honestly see anybody finishing above City again. Unfortunately, I don't like to say that, but just look at. I know they've, people have said they may be slightly weaker this season, but I don't know. I don't see anybody else in the Premier League able to beat them over 38 games, unfortunately.
Indeed. So where have you got us coming? Some people, the Leeds fan had us as fourth. Most people have said second, but a couple have said third, including the Villa fan that we had on. I mean, I think that's blasphemous, isn't it?
Well, see, I don't know. I think that realistically, for me, this season is all about making sure we finish in the top four again. I think that's massively important that we do. I think it's going to be quite difficult because there's big competition now for those positions. I'm not quite sure if, yes, we've got a few injuries. There seems to be a slight change in, obviously, personnel coming in, slight change in the way that we play, and it might take us a little bit of a longer time to really adapt. And that may be costly in terms of dropping points early on in the season, which we didn't do last season. So, I mean, I personally feel that third place is about as realistic as we can potentially have. Maybe a second at a push, but I'm going to go third because I'm not optimistic enough for second at the moment.
Well, who have you got for second then?
I think Newcastle.
No, that's sticky territory. That is they want so much from that team. The first chance that because no one expected how to be able to do what he's done with Newcastle. They've really got somebody in place to come and take over, and they're just waiting for him to trip over a bit of bad form, and he's out the window. I don't see Newcastle doing it at all.
I think they've had a good window though, haven't they? They've had a good window. They're buying some good players to improve what they've already got.
Maximum, that turned out to be a right treat. I don't know how they managed to get that much money for a bloke who scored 1 goal last season.
I know they've done good business, but yeah,
it is.
We can't sell anybody, can we? So I don't know what's going on there.
Si, there, lovely. Arsenal's top goal scorer, all competitions. Most have gone Saka, a couple have gone Jesus, but since the news last night, people are backing Martinelli now. What you got?
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, Martinelli is the one that's sticking out for me. I probably wouldn't have gone for Jesus anyway, just because he's not a big goal scorer, is he?
Nope.
I think Martinelli, this might be Martinelli's season. I think with Havertz coming in, and I think with Trossard in the team, I think Martinelli may well play a few more games through the middle this season. He did a few last season and it worked quite well. He scored a few goals. So I think it could be a big season for Martinelli in goals. So I'm going to go with him. I do think it's going to happen for him this year.
Yeah, I picked Saka, but for me, it's going to be one of those two because they are football porn. Watching both of them, they are stunning.
Yeah.
Now you're getting old. You're getting old a bit, and you remember Spurs. Are Spurs the team you hate more than any other?
I wouldn't say I hate Spurs because they're just an irrelevance, aren't they? They're never a threat to us, really. You just look back, you look over your shoulder at them and just laugh. You know, I've always grown up, you know, Liverpool were the team to hate because they won everything. Then it was Man United because they won everything. I've always hated Chelsea because they're just a nothing club. Obviously, City now for the same reason. I hate them probably more than I hate Spurs because Spurs are just an irrelevance. They're just a totally irrelevant. Absolutely irrelevant.
And it's only going to get worse for them. So where do you see them finishing this season?
I mean, yeah, if Harry Kane does get sold and he moves on, then I think they're going to really struggle. I think Harry Kane may stay, in which case he'll score some goals. So they will probably finish 8th, maybe. I think I'll go 8 for Spurs.
Okay. I want to get my mate on who's a Spurs fan, but he will just spend the entire show using the C word at all Arsenal fans because he hates us.
Well, they do that because they're jealous of us, aren't they? We're everything they've always wanted to be, and they'll never ever be what we've been. So of course they hate us. But you've got to understand that's why. But you know, let them get on with it.
Who have you got for the FA Cup?
The FA Cup, I'm going Man United.
Yes, I hadn't thought about that. And someone pointed out they got to both domestic cup finals last season. So yeah, it's a good shout.
They did.
How far do you think Arsenal are going to get in that competition, and do you think we'll be taking it seriously?
I think it might depend on how things are in January, where we are in the league. If we're still, obviously, if we've got through the group stage in the Champions League, if things are going well and we're challenging for the title, then I don't think we will take the FA Cup seriously. If we're maybe further down the league at Christmas, maybe challenging in the top 4, he may take it a bit more seriously, but it does depend on how seriously we want to take it. If we play a decent, strong side in all the rounds, we'll have a chance of going all the way and winning it. But I'm not sure if we will. With the Champions League, I think that's going to take priority this season, and I'm not sure the domestic cups are something we're going to particularly be strong on in the team selection. So I don't know. I'll be surprised if we go that far in it for that reason. You know, I think other teams are going to take that more seriously than we are, and I think that's where we're going to come unstuck.
Agreed. How about the League Cup? What are you picking for that?
Again, you know, probably people might not agree, but I'm actually going Newcastle because I do feel as though they're due to win a trophy. They came close last year in that competition, so I think Newcastle will. They're not going to win the league. They're not going to win the Champions League. They're probably not going to win the FA Cup. So I think they're going to, like they did last year, throw everything into the League Cup and try and win it. And I think they'll have a good chance this year.
Yeah, I think I've got them down for winning the FA Cup because they've got too much to do and end the season with nothing. And I quite like Newcastle. I don't like the owners. I don't like that Amanda woman, but the fans I like, and I like the stadium, and I like the general area is pretty good. Champions League. This is always the tester of whether you've been drinking the Kool-Aid, the Arsenal Kool-Aid. What have you got?
I mean, again, it's difficult to look beyond City or Real Madrid, I suppose. But I actually think maybe it's going to be PSG's year. You know, they need to win it, don't they? They haven't done, and they need to maybe. And is this the year that maybe it falls into place for them?
It could well be, especially if they keep Mbappe there. Maybe if they get rid of Mbappe, they've got more chance, because they were like the weird kid at school that came in who had all the Pokemon but no idea. And they've had all those players, all the best players. They win the league and sack the manager year after year after year. They just need a little bit of continuity, but those people who own it are just used to getting what they want right away, and they're not getting it, and so they just keep throwing more money at it, and it's never going to work.
No, but I don't know. I just feel as if they can get their act together in it, they've been threatening to win it, haven't they, for a number of years? It's never quite happened. So I just think one year they will win it, and why not this year? Who knows?
Possibly. Top goal scorer who plays in the Premier League, but all competitions.
Again, it's hard to see beyond Haaland, isn't it? After his 50-odd goals last year, I mean, you might not score as many as that this year. But I'd be amazed if anybody outscored. The only other two that possibly could are potentially Mo Salah or Harry Kane if he stays at Spurs. But I think Haaland's going to be the one to beat, isn't he? And I think I'll be surprised if anybody outscored, unless he gets an injury. He's going to probably do it again, isn't he?
Yeah, if he gets an injury, they just bolt a new arm or new leg or new head on, and then he'll be off. The Championship winner, interesting season this season. What have you got?
Yeah, I mean, I fancy Leeds to come straight back and probably win it. I just feel as though that they've got the fan base, they've got the infrastructure at the club to come straight back, and I'll be surprised if they don't get promoted potentially, as champions. So I think that's going to be their year in the Championship.
Yeah, that's why I changed my mind, and that's what I've gone for. And finally, first manager to be fired.
I mean, it's an interesting one, this, isn't it? Because there's, pretty much 17 potential options, because obviously Pep won't get sacked, Klopp won't get sacked, and Arteta won't get sacked. So pretty much anybody else potentially could. I'm going to go Marco Silva, just because I feel as though Fulham won't do as well this year as they did last season. And Fulham tend to have that, they don't tend to keep managers very long, do they? So I think that they might have a difficult start to the season, and it might well be Marco Silva that's the first one out the door, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, looking at your picks, interesting having Arsenal third, PSG for the Champions League. You're the first person to say that, and you're the first to say Silva for the first manager. So you won't. I doubt very much you'll be having the same points as anyone else at the end of the season. 10 points up for grabs. The winner gets absolutely nothing. I mean, I'll probably forget to even do a show at the end of the season talking about it. Oh, Paul Nell, not Neil, in the chat says could see Silva going, which is someone agreeing with you. So tell people about the pod. What have you got coming up next? What are you working on?
Well, so we're doing a watch along on Sunday, the Community Shield, and then next week we'll be obviously looking ahead to the start of the Premier League season. We're doing a sort of a review show looking ahead to that, the Nottingham Forest game, and we're going to sort of talk about the season, the transfer window, what we've made of the incoming players already, potentially any new incoming. The goalkeeper potentially looks like there might be a new goalkeeper coming, and where that leaves the situation. Have we got a number one goalkeeper? Will we have two number one goalkeepers, or are we not going to even get that deal over the line? So there's a few things to look at there, and obviously where else we need to strengthen, because I still think we're maybe one or two areas short in the team that we could really do with strengthening. If we're going to, don't forget, we've got the Champions League this year. And I think that's going to be something that we really do need to, the squad needs to be stronger in depth. And I'm not sure at the moment that it is. We've bought some better players, but we've also, we've lost Xhaka. There's going to be one or two others going. So I think we still need one or two more to come in. I'd like a striker, personally, a proper striker, not a false nine and all this nonsense. I want a proper striker as a backup, not necessarily to play every week, because that's not the way that we play, but as a backup from the bench to come on. And at the moment, Jesus is injured. We've got another option. At the minute, I can see Havertz playing as a false nine or Trossard as a false nine. I don't know, false nines aren't for me. But anyway, that's just my opinion. And everyone, I'm sure some people love a false nine. It's just not. Maybe I'm a little bit too old school. I like a big centre forward, and someone who's going to hold the ball up, bring people into play, and score 20 goals a season. That's my kind of centre forward. But I can't see us getting one, unfortunately.
No, I've got your channel on the screen here, just scrolling down through some of the stuff you do. You've got Melvin on there, who is brilliant, who is twice he was meant to be on doing the predictions, and twice I've had to cancel it. And so he'll be on later in the or maybe next week, because I've got stuff to do on Sunday. So you've got plenty of stuff on there for everybody. What's been the most successful series that you've done that you've had the most attention for?
Probably the women's stuff, actually. And I think one of the reasons for that is because it isn't something that a lot of channels do, maybe. And I do think that I've spent a lot of time on the women's team, doing stuff for the women's team on the channel. And I do think that, maybe people understand and appreciate that. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's. I think the women's stuff has definitely been the most successful thing on the channel, and I enjoy doing it, which is even better. I wouldn't have liked. I think doing YouTube is quite difficult. It takes a lot of your time up, and it's important that you like what you do, enjoy it. So to me, if the fact that the women's stuff seems to be the most successful, and it's also the stuff I enjoy doing the most, it kind of is, for me, that's the best result, really, and I'm happy about that. And hopefully this season it'll be the same. I'm looking to keep growing the channel, and if people come and have a look at what we do, it'd be great to have you on board.
Good. Yeah, I'm often in the chat for some of the shows when I remember, because
you're
right. I often get up too late and then I forget things. And I do like some of the I look quite a lot of the stuff you do. I don't watch too much of the women's stuff because I couldn't name most of the team, but I will be keeping an eye on them come for the knockout stage, and I hope they win it. And which I don't really say for the England men's team, but now they've got Saka and they've got a load of England players playing for Arsenal. We might get a little bit more interested in the men's team.
I agree. See, I'd lost interest in the England men's team really quite a few years ago for various reasons, and I don't particularly like Gareth Southgate, if I'm honest. But the fact that now we've got one of the star players in that team who plays for us, it kind of gives you, every time I know Saka's playing, I'll watch it because I want to see him play on the big stage. So yeah, that has given me more interest. And obviously there's one or two others as well that may be playing more often in the team in the next few years. Obviously Declan Rice now as well. So that's going to be interesting, isn't it? So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm getting more interested in watching the England men now. And even more so with this season coming up. So let's see. Well, I want a different manager. I'd rather have a different manager doing it. But, who knows? We haven't done too badly in the last few tournaments, have we, I suppose? So
not done too bad at all. Shame he's trying to kill Saka by making him play every single minute of every single game. But when you've got your best player, you go.
Well, exactly. I mean, Arteta's doing the same, isn't he? Arteta's doing the same, plays him every game. Because why wouldn't you? I mean, if he's fit to play him, because like you said, he's the best player, and he's the one player, isn't he, that can... even in games when he's maybe not had much impact, he'll do one or two little things suddenly and it's turned the game. He'll score a goal, set up a goal, do something amazing, and he does it all the time, doesn't he? So you've got to play him, haven't you? Really, it's a risk not to.
You do indeed. Right, that's it. We're going to go now. Thank you very much for your time, Rich. It's been always good to have a chat with you.
Yeah, no, I enjoy it always. Well, you have to come on my channel again. That's been a while, isn't it? I'll have to get you back on, and once the season's up and running, we can get you on, and that'd be good. Look forward to that.
Yeah, I think I was meant to be on with you, I was meant to be on with Melvin in March, but then, stuff happened in life and I didn't do any podcasting for 3 months. So, yeah, that was a bit shit. So, all we've got to do now is you wave goodbye to the boys and girls, or say goodbye, and then I will roll the credits.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot. Just take it easy, guys, and enjoy it. Enjoy the season. That's what we want to do. Enjoy it, don't we? That's what it's all about. Come on, you guys.
As soon as I scored that goal, I was fucking livid.
Get down, dog. Splendid business.
He nearly caught the bloody thing. What are you talking about?
So I was just eating a full quiche. Well, you don't often see them at it. So when you see them in the supermarket, they need to be swagged, microwaved immediately, and get the brown sauce on and bosh, Bob's your uncle.